welcome to episode 8 of Adopted Geordies, brought to you by BetMGM. I am Andy J, sat with the main man, Mr. Asim Chowdhury.
Yo, episode 8.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's an exciting one. In fact, we have a very special guest coming up very shortly today, darts legend, Mr. Chris Dobey. Here is what you can expect from today's show.
Yeah, I remember one of Nobby's goals against Everton when he done that.
Yes.
The outside of the boot when we beat them 2-0, and that was just what he'd done. He was brilliant, and I don't think we've kind of got that kind of play out there across the board like he did back then. We haven't got that right winger. He came in, he said, "Oh, I'm just eyeing the standard," and as he said that, I banged the 180 in, which kind of was a relief.
I'm telling you what now, and I wouldn't have said this 3-4 months ago. He actually has to start.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's not football, and this is why Eddie Howe is so brilliant. It's not always about ability. Who's got the best touch? Who's the best passer? It's all about balance. And now I feel like, and let me know what you think of this. I feel like we're finding our balance now in the team. I'm always shocked by how quick he is. Like, you know why? Because you don't always think he's that quick. But then he just darts past players. Excuse the pun there, Chris. Darts.
With us escaping the Europe, I think that's kind of helped us in a way.
Some good stuff. I'm excited,
really
mate. I'm excited.
Really
now, Asim, it has been a while since you and I have hung out.
Yes.
In fact, it has been enough time for 4 matches to have happened. Chelsea, Chelsea, Arsenal. Yeah, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Forest.
Well, playing Chelsea was almost like playing a different team, though, because we did play Chelsea's B team.
Yeah.
When we beat them.
Yeah.
Right?
But then their B team still had...
Their B team's still worth £400 billion. So it's basically their
Or
A
3
team.
hotels if you're Chelsea.
Or 3, yeah, exactly. A lot of games, but you know what's good? They're all very fresh in my memory because they were all quite memorable games.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can always count on Newcastle to be entertaining apart from that, the Wembley game. Not Wembley.
Wimbledon.
Why am I saying Wembley? Bloody hell, I'm thinking about the final. No, yeah. Apart from we have a few stinkers now and again.
Yeah.
But very rarely can you call Newcastle boring. Do you know what I mean? We've never been win or lose or draw. Even our draws, 4-4. Come on, check Quixote. Even our draws sometimes can be absolute bangers.
If you just look at this season, right?
Yeah.
We haven't been boring. We have been stressful.
Yeah.
Like, prior to the last 4, or maybe the last 3, because there were 3 victories.
Yeah.
We've been quite a tense watch. We've been quite
bum clenched. Yeah. Holding in a poo kind of vibe for a month.
Yes.
That's what it's been like the last month. Okay, so we start with Chelsea quickly.
Yeah, which one? The
first.
Cole Palmer one.
Cole Palmer.
Oh.
He was put on this earth to only play football, wasn't he? Because have you heard his interviews, Chippy Chips and all that?
I have.
What?
Yeah.
I love him. I think he may be a generational talent.
He's brilliant.
He is Bergkamp-esque sometimes with his touch and his footballing brain. That's what I mean. Like he was just put on this earth to play football, nothing else. Not speaking, not before. Like he is just made for football. A bit like Messi. When Messi doesn't have the charisma, and like you see him speak in interviews, you're like, but he's just been put on this earth, placed on this earth for one objective: is to be a fantastic footballer. Yeah. So what can you say, Cole Palmer? I mean,
we didn't keep him quiet enough.
We didn't.
It's kind of as simple as that, isn't it?
Couldn't contain, the cold. Deserved. I think deserved result.
We had our moments, but it was one of those ones where, do you remember they scored in the first minute or two, and it was disallowed, it was ruled out, but you just kind of felt, do you know what, maybe today isn't going to be our day.
Yeah.
And we were close, to be fair. We came back, and you kind of think if there'd been 15 minutes of extra time, maybe we'd have done something with it, but we didn't. And thankfully, because of the 3 games that have happened since then, we've been able to move on. Beating them in the Cup felt pretty special.
Well, the Cup I felt like that was it could have been a moment in our season.
Yeah.
It felt like something just clicked then. And we were saying that it kind of felt like we haven't started cooking then, but it was a preheat.
Well, do you know what? That was what was fascinating. What I thought was really interesting was in the Cup, we saw Bruno rested and Tonali in Bruno's position. Right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we'd sort of thought maybe that's why we'd bought Bruno anyway. A lot of people were saying, oh, you bought them to play together. a lot, but then you've got this other thing, which is, well, actually, Bruno's been brought in because there's been an assumption that, Tonali's been brought in because there's been an assumption that Bruno's going to get sold for massive money, so he's maybe his replacement. And when you saw that, that's when there was all this debate before the Arsenal game, which is, well, hang on, where does Tonali play? Because you've got to keep... Bruno's coming back. He's the captain. He's unbelievably good. His press resistance is incredible, etc. Clearly, Bruno starts against Arsenal. Where does Tonali play? Are we looking at a double pivot? Are we looking at an advanced role? Da-di-da-di-da. As it happens, Tonali doesn't play. No. He doesn't start.
No.
And it was really interesting. So that was the... Do you remember? That was the noise in between those two games.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting because Tonali was great against Chelsea in that position. And then Bruno was magnificent against Arsenal. Yeah. And when Tonali came on, he played really well as well.
Yeah. And also, Howe was getting a lot of stick about bringing Tonali on. Later on. Remember? And it was like, Tonali only gets this amount of minutes. The thing with Bruno is that I obviously love Bruno. He's our captain. Sometimes I think his shots feel like they're in slow motion to me. I don't know why. It's like he can almost generate more power on the ball when he hits it with the outside of his foot, like he did against Forest, which was amazing. And we were talking about, it was Nobby-esque. But yeah, with Tonali, I feel like Tonali's got everything Bruno's got, I think. Okay. The only thing I think that Bruno's better than Tonali, and it's probably his footballing IQ. For all-round game, Tonali's got a much better shot on him as well. Much better shot. And I think he's a better crosser off the ball.
Hang on. I mean, basically what you're saying is you prefer Tonali to Bruno.
No, because I think the most important thing in football is footballing IQ.
Right.
So the reason why Messi is the GOAT is because he has the best footballing brain of all time. Right? So it's like you can have all the ability, but if you don't always know what you're going to do, and character. I mean, Bruno's character is miles above. That's why he's the captain. He's got amazing. So it's really tough for me. I'd love in an ideal world that we could play them together, but I don't think they can play together.
Well, it doesn't seem to be the case yet, but you sort of get the sense that Eddie's going to find a way.
We are kind of finding a way with, Big Joe now. Because I mean, Big Joe's strength is also our weakness because the guy can play everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could probably do a shifting goal. Honestly, I think he could play anywhere.
He'd probably fill it, wouldn't he?
I mean, yeah, especially with those legs, you know what I mean? But it's so tough because okay, let me ask you a question. Where do we play Big Joe? Because he was brilliant on the left wing, brilliant on the right. Look at the Forest game when he cut in and scored.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, but then he's such a box-to-box, brilliant midfielder. So where do we play Big Joe?
If it's me, right, so we had that season, do you remember, where it was Joey Willock and Big Joe, and they were interchanging on the left wing. Yeah, and and they had so much success.
Yeah.
To the point where you never mind the opposition, as a viewer, you'd never quite know who's playing on the wing and who's in the midfield because they were so good at switching.
Which I love that. It's dynamic.
Was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was dynamic. It was telepathic.
Yeah.
And the pair of them could do a job in either position.
Yeah.
For me, though, Joey Willock is a more dynamic midfielder, whereas Joe Linton can do anything anywhere. And I thought when he was on the right wing, that gives us the opportunity to do the only thing that I'm kind of frustrated about for this season is for me, we haven't seen the best of Gordon. Gordon was amazing last season on the left, consistently starting on the left.
But that cross, though, that's the
cross
best
when he was on the right wing
season,
for Arsenal was amazing. I get that. But look at his goal return last season when he was playing off the left.
Fire.
We haven't seen moments like that so far. So for me, I would have Gordon on the left, Joe Linton on the right.
Wow. But
even though that denies the Big Joe and Little Joe link up.
But saying that though, Joe Linton hasn't really played on the right apart from he does, like you said, sometimes
I'm basing this on 20 minutes. Yeah.
It's really tough. It's tough. It's a good problem to have. But the most important thing is if we and obviously the Arsenal game, amazing, fully deserved. People were saying that Arsenal played terribly. I think it was more of a case of us. We battered them. And also, we've got confidence. Everyone wasn't giving us a chance. We've beaten them how many times now? We beat them quite a lot, especially at St. James's Park.
Yeah.
They can't be expected to win against us now. We've kind of got their card a little bit.
Yeah.
So fully deserved win. Absolutely amazing game. I really enjoyed that. And I think that we are clicking now. And Longstaff, shout out to Longstaff, Shawnee. Even I know I've spoken shit about him. Not in person. We love him personally. Remember, we always said that his first touch, and he's not the most, the most technically gifted. We're talking about Bruno and Tonali. These guys are technical wizards. But Longstaff will give you everything, every inch of his soul. You know, he bleeds for Newcastle, and there's a balance, and that is the word that I think, you know, we were speaking about. I feel like Eddie is now finding the balance.
He's the hidden ingredient. You know, I mean, there's the stats prove it. And I know this is an X, right? So there isn't all this, it's not an echo chamber for people shouting negative things. It's you and me having our own opinions. But the stats speak for themselves. And we are a better side, like it or not, with Shawnee in the side. Statistically. Never mind whatever else you're looking at. Statistically, there it is. There it is. So that means someone like a Tonali is getting a rest for some of the game. Or, I don't know, you play around again. Point is, whatever we're doing right now, it's going really nicely. And long may this continue.
And we are cooking now.
Yeah.
And if we keep this up, then January, let's see what happens.
Could be fun, mate.
It could be fun. It could be fun.
I mean, listen, some people are saying, do you know what? The problem we have now is international break. It's come at the worst possible time for us.
We're on
you
fire,
know, just as we're on fire. But actually, I remember a couple of seasons ago when we went for warm weather training. I think it was in Saudi Arabia. It was about 2 seasons ago. And it had just been when we'd secured a big win. And everyone's going, oh, no, we need the next game. We need the next game. Do you know what? That breakaway did them a world of good. The bonding they had, and you know, I don't know what they did. Quad bikes on the sand dunes,
and that's important. And the rest,
they came back as a really united team. And they pushed on.
Started cooking,
and I've got the kind of hope. Plus, you know, you've got Lewis Hall called up for England. England's Lewis Hall. That sounds cool, doesn't it? Tino for England. You know, Anthony Gordon injury depending, I guess, potentially going to start for England as well. So hopefully that's all confidence boosting stuff. Meanwhile, the lads are bonding in Saudi Arabia, and they'll come back, and we'll just push on. Plus, it took a lot of effort to get those 3 big wins. You know, they need a little bit of
they weren't easy games.
No.
And there was a lot of pressing going on, which, you know, intensity.
You
know, which it felt like the old Newcastle, you know, which I felt like we missed a little bit. You know, it was I mean, that's the one thing with our team. Like, even when we were at Fulham and we lost, we couldn't fault them for the effort they put in. I mean, they did a shift. They were just not good enough. You know what I mean? But they have been knackered. So I think, let's see what happens, man.
Let them recharge. You know,
let them recharge the batteries, and let's come back. But I'm excited, man. I mean, I think you know, I think we could do a job this season. You know,
I'm excited. I'm certainly feeling more kind of. You and I have been saying it's gonna click. We are something away from clicking. You know, and actually, if Anthony Gordon had scored that pen against Everton, if we'd got something that we deserved out of Brighton, we'd be sitting in 4th, 5th right now.
That Brighton game, mate, we should have. We were there. We should have done. Man. We should have done something there.
I know. Now listen, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about 3 years of Eddie in just a moment. But before we do, because 3 years of Eddie for me is something massive to celebrate. Before we talk about that, I wanted to ask you a slightly random question. Now, before the last 2 games, there was the lovely memorial for the poppies, with the poppies, and War Flags tribute was fantastic.
Big up War Flags.
And it was also very nicely observed at Forest as well. But we saw our lads, you know, in a nice united huddle. And it's not just for Poppy Day, you know, there are often minute silences and our lads huddle together. And it was interesting. I was watching who was kind of huddling with who, you know? And I got to thinking, if you, Asim, pre-match had to be huddled between 2 Geordies, 2 Newcastle players, who do you want flanking you? Who are you cuddling before the game?
That's a good question. I'm going to go for Big Joe, just so I can have a little calf comparison with him. Just see what's the big deal with Big Joe. Like, come on, they're not that good. Have you seen mine? You have seen mine, because I get them out every episode. And then I think probably the other Brazilian, Bruno. So I'm like a what's a Brazilian sandwich?
Well, you could be doner meat in a Brazilian sandwich.
In a Brazilian sandwich. So I'm the doner meat in between these 2 beautiful Brazilian boys. And I'm looking at Joe's calves, and I'm listening to what Bruno's saying. I know it's going to be in Portuguese, so I'm gonna, you know, and maybe he'll do a little bit. Maybe he does that song, you know, like the, you know, the Brazilian. It's all over TikTok. I don't know what it is, but I love it.
I mean, you might not be allowed to do that in the minute silence, but I always say
that might be a bit weird.
You might get in a bit of trouble.
I might just hum it really quietly. You lot know what song I'm talking about. I can't remember what it's called. I think it'll be Big Joe, Bruno.
You go for a Brazilian.
I'll go for a Brazilian sandwich. What about you?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Well, because I was thinking about this, and you're looking for kind of reassurance and confidence, aren't you? Who is giving you that shot of confidence? So you've probably made the right choices, but I'm going to go for different choices just because of who you've chosen.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go Fabian Schär because I bet he also smells amazing.
He smells amazing. He's a
you know what I mean?
gorgeous bastard.
Doesn't just look
incredible. But he's almost so good looking. He could probably stink if he wanted to. You know what I mean? He's that good looking that he probably doesn't need to shower.
Terrible breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's assume he's not.
Yeah.
And Isak, because the man just oozes confidence.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
swag.
it's the swag
Class.
as well. So Isak's quite tall, so I reckon I'd be kind of like that.
Yeah, you'd be
between the two.
Well, they're both quite tall, so you'd be like maybe off your feet.
I think I'm about the same height as Fab.
Are you?
I think
How
I'm
tall is Fab?
6'1". I reckon Fab's about the same.
Okay.
And Isak he's what, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah.
So he's just
he
a little
seems
bit taller.
He
does seem taller, but I think
he's lanky. He's lanky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going for.
Good shout.
Although I like your Brazilian choices. As
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
There isn't a bad choice. Big Dan Burn
choice.
would be a lovely hug.
Yeah.
The confident, but you might get arm strain.
Yeah, Dan Burn you definitely get arm strain.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go around his waist, and that might be a bit weird.
Could be a bit
sorry,
weird.
Dan.
Yeah, he's so tall, it wouldn't even be his waist. It would just basically be his arse. So you have your arse up, Dan Burns. You have your hand up, Dan Burns' arse.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a puppet.
He's not a puppet.
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
Quick one before Chris joins us, because I'm mindful that he's waiting to talk to us, and I can't wait.
Oh, is he?
He's a top lad. 3 years of Eddie Howe, mate. It's around about now. What's your take on it? What do you think of the last 3 years? Highs, lows? Is he here in 3 years' time?
3 years of Eddie Howe. Wow, amazing. Obviously, we interviewed him. Lovely, lovely guy. Super manager, top manager. I think he's not only has he evolved players and developed players, I think he's evolved as a coach, as one of the top coaches. I mean, the fact that he was the #1 guy linked with the England job, and I know there's not that many great England managers around, but still, that's like the fact that it was like, of course they're going to try and get Eddie. That says a lot. And also, I mean, what manager right now, and we can go on to this, would, flirt with Newcastle and we'd be like, yeah, I prefer him over Eddie. I don't think there's that many.
Jose tried it, didn't he?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Jose.
Right,
so, like, even though I love Mourinho, but I wouldn't take Mourinho right now.
Over Eddie?
Over Eddie, no way. Over what Eddie's built. I think it's been a brilliant 3 years. High, obviously, I'm going to always talk about it. PSG. Cass is dead. Sam Fender. 4-1. I mean, come on. Unbelievable. Low moment, I would say, Fulham, when he gave us the death stare.
That's a good point.
But that's more of a low point for us than him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, brilliant 3 years. What about you?
My high was meeting him.
Yeah.
Because he's delivered so many on-field highs.
Yeah.
And because you're always going to choose PSG, I can't go with that. I mean, maybe my high in terms of football was the first time under him that we beat Arsenal.
Okay.
Because that was a massive one, because they were going for the title.
I remember
and
that.
we were trying to sew up
the
like
last game-
11th
wasn't the
place
last
or
game of
something.
the
It
season?
was the last home game of the season.
Last home game, that's it,
And then Amanda and Murdad did a lap of honour with everyone else. The atmosphere there was amazing, and those war flags really went to town. I know they always do, but that was I loved that game.
Were you there?
I was there, and it was unbelievable.
That's got to be up there.
And I said hello to a few of them, off the back of it, and in the press room and stuff, and it was that was a really, really cool moment.
Low point.
But I still say meeting Eddie was the high.
Yeah.
Low point.
Death stare.
I think low point was how we performed at Wembley.
Oh,
that was a massive shame. I don't,
But how much was that? That's not a low point for Eddie, though. Do you think? I mean, he's the manager. Ultimately, it's his responsibility. Yeah, but I mean, come on, we were very unlucky with the goal.
With the goalkeeper,
the goalkeeper situation.
And
that wasn't his fault.
Didn't do a lot wrong,
I know, but you know what I mean. It's like you're already being like, I'm on my 4th choice keeper.
Yeah.
Like, as a manager, are you ever going to win that game? Let's be real. Yeah. Like, just psychologically, you know what I mean? But I know what you mean. He's the manager. We were at Wembley.
Well, it's just if you talk about low point, I mean, you're talking about a direct look in his eye. Yeah, he's giving you the death stare. I hear you for that. But that was ruled out after we saw him. Yeah, so the high point for me was definitely meeting him, because it was just amazing.
Yeah.
I am very pleased to say that there's one thing, well, there's many things that Asim and I have not achieved on this show yet, but the primary one, the obvious one, the thing that is standing out to all of us is we have not achieved a genuine Geordie on the show yet. And we haven't just got a proper Geordie for you, we've got a proper Geordie legend. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, of course. He's a proper legend.
He's a proper legend.
And I've seen it in the flesh. You know what I mean?
Seen what?
No, just seen his aura around the tune.
His Darts Ace, Mr. Chris Dobey's in the house. Hey! How you doing? You're on a link for us, Chris, because you're basically too busy to be able to come into the studio. But hello, man. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for having us on. I'm looking forward to it.
We are very lucky because, as Asim just said, he's experienced your aura. The three of us were together for that astonishing, remarkable Wimbledon match where we got to hang out a bit. Now, I would have said beforehand, because we've had these amazing, experiences where you get to have a few drinks and some food and stuff before the game and this, that and the other. When I heard we were hanging out with you, Chris, I hope you don't mind me saying, but I just assumed it was going to involve a lot of booze.
Yeah.
Because you think darts, you think these guys are going to sink a few beers.
They're proper lads. The darts boys, they're proper lads, aren't they?
Yeah.
Proper.
But no.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
that proved not to be the case.
Just
You
a
were
few
good boy.
Diet Cokes, huh? I had work the next day, so had to be on my best behaviour.
Okay, I don't want to jump into it, but as we're on that, can you play darts drunk?
Well, I've never done it before, so I've always been teetotal, so it's never really occurred to me. So I've always been the same, and which is probably a bonus for me.
Well, I mean, because obviously it's, there's a huge amount of hand-eye coordination needed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, because hands up, I'm not the biggest darts fan, but I do always see them with the pints and they're drinking as they're playing, and it seems like, you know what I mean? Like, so is that affecting their...
If you went back like 30, 40 years, it was always a pint and a fag on the stage, and it was crazy, man. It was absolutely mental. But I would assume the more the competition went on, I think the worse they would get. So luckily,
Right.
I'm not needing any of that. So
you're part of the new school as well, isn't it? It's a little bit like football. Like, you see the old footballers and, Socrates and that, having a fag.
Well, Ginoli used to have a red wine at half time.
Ginola seeing the shirt as well, classic shirt, as we were talking about.
Here for it.
But it's the new age now, isn't it? So I guess in all sports, you have new science and you have new ways of living, really, isn't it? It's a healthier way to live life. So, okay. So he's new school.
He's new school. Well, the thing is, you could, in this modern age, Chris, you could fake it. Like, I'm sure some of these rock stars nowadays, when you see them necking beers and stuff, there's a lot of alcohol-free beers out there.
Do you reckon?
Right? Yeah, I reckon some of it. When they kind of go, someone get me a drink from the bar, whatever, and it's just like it's a mate that's prearranged.
Having a wind
up. You know
up.
what I mean? Just said,
yeah.
So you could pretend like if everyone knows you as a teetotal, you could do one thing where you're literally necking like 12 pints.
Yeah.
But it's of like whatever that non-alcohol Heineken is or whatever. People just, mind you, then you just need to pee the whole time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It might be worse,
but
even more wobbly.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's impressive to see them play it's a high-level sport, hugely popular sport in this country.
It's massive.
And they've got a pint, and it's pretty gangster. It is pretty gangster, but also, like we said, Chris is part of the new school. Chris, how did you get into darts? When did you first start playing darts? When was the first game you ever played?
I was 21. It was just random. I was at a local social club with my mum. We were having a game of bingo, as you do with your mum, you see. And one of my friends came into the local club, and they were short of a player for the dart team, and they literally just came up to me and asked, "Would you mind filling in for the night?" And me being me, I thought I didn't like to turn the lads down, and I went up and I enjoyed it. It was just a great night. It was good crack with the lads who I've known for years, and I kind of took to it straight away. And no word of a lie, it was up this area. It was a double in, double out. Most of our leagues is that, so you have to start on a double before finishing on a double. And I had a 15 dart leg, double in, double out in my first ever game, and it was against one of the best players in the league as well. So to do that, it was kind of a natural ability, and not blow my own trumpet and that, but it's been in the family for years. My dad and my uncles played, but it was literally just took like a duck to water,
So is 21, is that, would you say, so before that you didn't really play, even though it was in your family? Was 21 when you realised?
Yeah, that was my first time I played when I was 21.
Wow.
I was more into my football, playing football with my friends and stuff. And
Chris, I think you've just lost a lot of people there. I didn't even try it till I was 21. What?
Annoyingly good. Just messy. Yeah, I was just messy.
Literally. Although this has suddenly given me an idea for a new career path. If you just discovered you were good at it at 21, Chris, then maybe you and I, Asim, could actually
we might
discover
have some
talent.
hidden talents that we didn't know.
To be honest, nowadays the youth system that the PDC have got on, and the money that there is for the youth nowadays, if that had been around when I was younger, then maybe I would have started at a younger age. But yeah, like I said, it was always in the family, so it was probably inevitable that I was going to play at some point. But it was just I was more concentrated with playing football with my friends, and that was my first love, And darts was just a hobby back then, and I kind of got good, and it was kind of a fallback.
Did you want to play for the Toon? Was that your dream?
Oh, that would have been a dream.
That was all our dream, wasn't it? I mean, come on, that's I think
it still is.
Every little boy.
One day I'll play on St James's Park, whether it's playing
when I grow up. I'm gonna play at St James's. Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's more than just that.
Yeah.
You want to score the winner. You know what I mean? You want to score the winner in a packed out. Yeah. Some people want to score against Sunderland. Some people want to score in the Champions League. But whatever it is, you don't want to have a kick around in a friendly. You don't want to be one of these. They have these press games sometimes as well, where you kind of think, oh, there's a chance you might be able to blag your way on that. Yeah, cool. That'd be cool. But you want to do it in front of 52,000 Geordies with your name on their back.
So Chris, let's talk Toon. Who was your favourite Newcastle player growing up?
Well, it's the obvious ones, Alan Shearer. It was everybody's dream to go up there and be like Shearer, and with him being a local lad as well, it's an easy option as well. But another favourite of mine was Nobby Solano. I think I took to him as well. I think he was literally just someone I followed a lot, and just everything he'd done, it was just like simple, and he always kind of pulled everything off. It was just so good to watch.
You know the game against who do we play? Who do we just play?
Forest.
As in literally just
Forest. You
Forest.
know the game against Forest. You know when Bruno had that 1-2 with Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, and then Bruno hit it with the outside of his foot.
Yeah.
And it was like, even though Bruno, that was Nobby-esque. And I thought if Nobby hit that would have been top corner.
Yeah, I remember one of Nobby's goals against Everton when he done that.
Yes.
The outside of the boot when we beat them 2-0. And that was just what he'd done. He was brilliant. And I don't think we've kind of got that kind of play out there across the balls like he did back then. We haven't got that right winger yet.
Well, that's what Chris. What you were saying as well. You said one word about Nobby, which you said his game was quite simple.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, like you'd think, oh no, he was a really complex technical player, which he was. Yeah. But I remember him not faffing about too much, getting the fucking ball in.
Yeah.
And why do you think Shearer got so many? Why did he get so many assists and Shearer back? Because sometimes you just want that, don't you? Like perfect example, what Gordon did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
you just whacked it in. Perfect, best cross of the season, right? Best assist of the season, unbelievable. So Nobby had that, and that we kind of are lacking that. We, right winger. I love Miggy obviously, and Murphy can put a job in, but sometimes you just want someone to get it in there.
Yeah,
we've got one of the best strikers in the league.
It's crazy.
Amazing. No, Nobby's a great shout. Great shout.
It's crazy. Chris, let's talk about the current squad. The first thing, we're going to talk about this season and how much you go and everything else. But before we do, I've got to talk to you about something I've just spotted on your socials, which immediately made us both a little bit jealous, which is you've been hanging out at the training ground.
Oh, amazing.
And you've been throwing some darts with the team, right?
Yeah, it was good fun. It was just last week. It was brilliant. Just hanging out with the lads, it's just that's a big part of me, It's being a massive fan. It was just like a pinch me moment being around them. But they were all so lovely, so nice guys, down to earth, and getting to chuck some arrows with the lads. It was
Put
brilliant.
some names on it for us, Chris. Who was there? Who was in the room? Who was cool?
To be honest, it was the majority of the team. I think the likes of Isaac, Tonali, and Bruno were the only ones that didn't pop their head in, but all the rest came in. Eddie Howe came in. Introduced himself, shook my hand straight away, and he came in. He said, "Oh, I'm just eyeing the standard." And as he said that, I banged the 180 in, which kind of was a relief.
There's no pressure like Eddie Howe pressure, right?
No, it was just great to spend a day there as well, and I think the lads enjoyed it as well. It was kind of after the session I had, so it was kind of just a relax for them as well.
Who was the best at darts? Who's the best player at darts?
I've got to say Sean Longstaff.
Really?
Because I speak to Matty quite a lot, and Matty was. I've done bits with Sean in the past, and Matty said he practices a lot, so be up for it. And so I kind of think he's always playing, so you would have to say it would be Sean.
Wow.
That doesn't surprise me, because, I mean, have you seen how good he is at cricket as well?
Yeah.
The lad is a born sportsman.
Yeah, it's his family, like you said, wasn't it? His dad was a hockey player, wasn't he? He was a really famous hockey player.
He's brilliant.
And he's very competitive. I mean, and also, I got to say, I think Sean's been getting a bit of shit in the last few months, you know, by not starting, and then people saying, "Oh, his first touch, and where does he fit in?" I'm telling you what now, and I wouldn't have said this 3-4 months ago. He actually has to start.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's not football, and this is why Eddie Howe is so brilliant. It's not always about ability. Who's got the best touch? Who's the best passer? It's all about balance. And now I feel like, and let me know what you think of this. I feel like we're finding our balance now in the team. The way we've been playing, 3 wins in a row? Yeah.
We're cooking.
We're finally cooking. We've been talking all season about when are we going to start? When are we going to start? Chris, do you think the balance is right now for the current squad, and how important do you think Sean's role is in this?
Yeah, it's massive. You can just look at the stats. I think the 8 games he's played, he started. I think we've won 7 and drew 1. So it's just just shows you how big of a player he actually is. When he's missing out of that team, I think they're kind of relying on him. But it's trying. I can see what they're doing, trying to get Tonali kind of back in that team after that long absence.
We love Tonali as well, even when he came out in the last game. I mean, he was brilliant.
It's crazy, but I think you've got to start Sean because he is a big part, and it's a big part of how we play now. And I think the whole team build around that as well. And I think he does all you can say the doggy work. You know, he grafts. He does 110% every game.
I think there was a really interesting moment in the last game where Joe Linton took up a winging position, and he went. Was it on the right that he
went on the right where he scored? When he scored off of that, and it's suddenly like everything clicked, because everyone talks about. I know he was obviously the striker when he first came to us, but his wing work is brilliant. I know he's a midfield enforcer, but actually we've got options in midfield. You get him on the wings. I don't know what this means for Harvey Barnes, by the way. Yeah. But you get him on the right wing. You get Gordon on the left. I don't know. That feels like suddenly we got some balance there. Yeah. We got some flair. We got some difference. Also, him on the wings. Your fullbacks are terrified, aren't they? Yeah, because he runs back. He's so good defensively as well.
And Chris, you've got to give it to Joe Willock as well. Or Joe Willock's been a massive since he come back in the team. I think he's probably the main one that carries the ball. There's not many people that can carry a ball like he does,
and at that speed as well. I'm always shocked by how quick he is. Like you know why? Because you don't always think he's that quick, but then he just darts past players. Excuse the pun there, Chris. Darts.
Did you pre-rehearse that?
Yeah, I planned that, and I fucked it up as well. I started a bit when I said it. Oh, I gave myself the ick. No, Chris, where would you fit Big Joe in though? Where do you think is his best position? Because it is a bit of an issue now, isn't it? Because you're right, we don't really.
You've got to play him.
Yeah, you've got to play him. I would still play him in the middle. Because you've got Gordon who can swap from the left and the right, and I don't think you can play Joe Linton in front of Gordon. So I would definitely still keep him in the middle.
Okay.
All right. So what's your starting 11 with this current? Everyone's fit. Oof, let's say everyone's fit.
That's a hard.
This current squad. Yeah. Who's your starting 11? Because you watch every game. You go to as many games as you can. You know your stuff.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, I think I would definitely put. Obviously, you've got to put Pope in, but I don't know with the way we're playing. I still think Botman, if he was fit, Botman would be 100% in the centre half. So
partnering him with
the way Lewis Hall's been playing, you can't drop him. And Tino on both wings. Fabian Shaw didn't have the best of games at the weekend, but I still think. It would be Shaw. It would probably be Shaw and Botman, I think, at the centre backs. But then your middle, you would keep Joe Linton, Longstaff, and Bruno. And then the Gordon. I think it's worked the last few. Gordon, Isaac, and Willock.
Willock on the
probably put Willock on the right. I think
right.
Just because the way he dribbles with the ball and carries the ball, but it is hard because we've got a great team. But I think once Harvey Barnes is fit, I think he'll definitely get into the team somewhere, whether it's playing Gordon on the right and Harvey Barnes on the left. But it's getting that match fitness, and he hasn't played that many matches. I think once he gets up to scratch, I think he'll definitely get his way into the team.
The challenge I have with Harvey, and this is speaking as a bloke that loves him, and I'm mindful that he's our joint top scorer right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan. The problem I have is that he did start a couple of games, and he kind of blew it. When he's better coming off the bench at the moment.
He's a super sub, isn't he?
Do you know what I mean? He's coming off the bench and scoring. He's starting and not scoring.
Yeah.
So this is my challenge with starting Harvey Barnes is he's so good when he comes off. It's almost like he's got a... Do you remember when Callum Wilson was dropped for Isaac? And then every time Wilson was coming on, when he was fit, I mean, I know it was a long time ago, but when he was fit, he was coming on and he had a point to prove and he scored every time. That's what it feels like with Barnsley at the moment. He can't get starts, so he comes on and he scores. Sometimes he scores twice, but he starts and he's not scoring. So I don't know. I'm keeping him as a sub.
Yeah.
It's a great problem to have, though. Like,
of course, we're here. When it's working.
I mean, do you remember at the start of the season, we haven't signed anyone. Oh my God, it's a shit show. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I think we're and it's so tight at the moment, isn't it? It's like, what are we? 1 point, 2 points,
1 point separating kind of third and ninth.
Yeah, it's 1 point separating 32 clubs.
I still think this year, with us escaping the Europe, I think that's kind of helped us in a way, because I don't think we've got the biggest squad to deal with Europe this season. So I think Man United winning that FA Cup, I think that's kind of helped us this season, to be fair.
It was a bit of a blessing in disguise, you're right. And now I think, let's see what happens in January. Here's a good question then, Chris.
Yeah.
January, what kind of business would you like us to do? What can you see us doing, and what would you like us to do?
I probably think Trippier might be on his way out, so I think you need cover on that right hand side. If you look at what's happened this weekend, for instance, I think Lloyd Kelly's in line to come in centre back because we've got Dan Burn suspended and Kraft broke his collarbone. So you would definitely have to have another backup centre back. They're crying out for a right winger, so that will be my main issue, the right wing, and probably another striker as well. Because
who would you if you had a blank checkbook, Chris? Who are you signing?
That is a tough one. You don't know who's available, who's in line to leave their clubs, or it is a hard one.
I'm going to throw two names at you, right? Because I mean no disrespect to their parent clubs, because they're both great clubs and they're both really good players, but I think based on what we perceive to be the pull of Newcastle, playing for Newcastle and the way we're playing and playing under Eddie, I think two players that we could look at, I'm not saying they'd come, but we could target, Jared Bowen, because West Ham aren't exactly having a great time right now.
That's a great show.
Love him. Yeah, I love him.
Brian Mbeumo.
Brentford.
The two of them, I mean, I'd be going all out for either of them.
I would love Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen's probably the type of player that we need, and we were linked with him before he moved to West Ham as well, and that was a big miss not getting him.
I mean, isn't he married to Danny Dyer?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. He's a massive West Ham fan as well.
Yeah,
so
which might make
that could have
difficult.
A pull on it.
But while they're not having the best of seasons, if that continues, and if they stick with the current manager and all the rest of it, they might be thinking, hang on, we need to give this guy some money to spend in January.
Yeah,
we could raise a few quid with Jared.
Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be a great
cheeky
sign.
beard, wouldn't he be great?
Yeah,
great signing.
Brilliant. I seen Shearer the other day mention something about getting that other Swedish striker, and I don't think we've I don't think we'll have any chance grabbing him at this moment in time. Like he's banging the goals for fun, but seeing what he's doing with Isaac for Sweden as well, I think that link up would definitely work. But it's getting him. How much would you have to pay for him nowadays?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, and you've spent time with the players, right, Chris? So you're in a better position to answer this than us, right? But I wonder how much the players have a sway over each other. You know, do you remember there was like Agent Gordon when at the England camp when he were talking about, are we going to get Mark Gahey? And there were all these photographs of the two of them sitting together. Yeah. How much pull do you reckon they've got when they're like, come on, mate, come and play with me. Come on, you'll love it. You'll love it.
That's a good
there.
shout. That's a good question.
How much is Isaac in his ear kind of going, come on, it's awesome?
To be honest, it could be because you do see often the players have the clicks and they always spend a lot of time with like random players rather than they do with certain ones as well. So you kind of, I think I've seen a couple of pictures where Tino and Lewis Hall are together with the England squad and they're like kind of making it for themselves as well. So I think because they're comforting each other, they've been around each other more than enough. So I think that's why they kind of stick together on that one. So it kind of could work in our favour.
Next time you're in there throwing some arrows, just have a word. Yeah, just say to them, listen, call your mate, get him on FaceTime. see if you can talk him up. Chris, I'm aware that we haven't spoken about your amazing season. The things that 2024 professionally, you're having a good time of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm playing well. Obviously finished the season as number one on the number one player on the tour, which is a massive thing for me as well. So going into next weekend as a number one seed for the Players' Championship final. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Mate, that's amazing.
Also, I just love how you rep Newcastle and everything you do as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, from what you wear to what you speak about. Like, obviously, you know, we're adopted Geordies. You're a proper Geordie.
Yeah.
And you know, even when we met you, like, it just, you know, I mean, you are Newcastle. Like, you know, I mean, you represent it. So I just want to say big up for representing as well, because you rep it hard, even with your darts and everything.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I think people love that about him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
mate, it's amazing. Walking out to Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
If that ever becomes a thing, Chris, where you're not allowed to walk out to that,
I even
we do have our own adopted Geordies theme tune.
Yeah, we can. You can use our one.
We could send you that if you wanted it.
Yeah, I bumped into Anton Deck at Chelsea away last season, and I mentioned to Deck or something, and he said, "Oh, love the walk on," just so that like a kind of a laugh as well.
Nice.
I was like, yeah.
Approved
that on, so no, it was good fun.
No, that's wicked. That's wicked. You represent, man.
Good lad.
You represent.
Chris, last one for you. Well, two last ones actually. How are you going to do next weekend? Are you going to win it? And where did Newcastle finish at the end of the season?
Well, I'll be definitely trying. Like I said, I'm playing some really good stuff. I'm up against one of my best friends as well, which is going to be hard. But I think we'll bring the best out of each other. So if I can get through that first game, then hopefully I can kick on and do well and bring home the title.
Good.
And
I hope that works.
I think Newcastle, I really do, the way we've been playing and stuff, I think they could be pushing to do what they've done last season and probably getting to that Europa Conference, Europa League. I can't see unless we buy big in January, I can't see we're getting that Champions League, but who knows? I could be wrong and I hope I am wrong.
Yeah,
you think what? You think of finishing sixth?
I think around about 6th or 7th.
Right.
The way we've been playing, but it depends on who we bring in January and the signings
and who we can keep fit.
Yeah.
Who we can keep fit as well throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good shout. I think I'd echo that. Wow, what a legend! What a legend, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
And hopefully we'll be seeing you soon at more games, right?
Hopefully,
because
fingers crossed.
We had a good time last time, and yeah, man, good luck for next week.
Thank you very much.
Bring it home for the tune, because I know even though you play for yourself, you play for the tune. You're basically like Newcastle in darts, aren't you?
Of course.
You know what I mean? But no, man, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate your time.
Top man, thank you, Chris. Take
Cheers,
it easy.
Lads. Thank you very much.
Diet Cokes in. See you, mate.
Cheers, take care.
Bye.
Cheers, Phil. Thank you.
Loved that. Loved talking to Chris. I'm a little bit hot on this now, but what a guy. What a guy. And I really hope he smashes it next weekend and delivers the goods.
Yeah. Also, quite annoying that he was just naturally good at darts and like one of the best players. How annoying is that?
I know. We should have asked him what he was going to do. You know, if you discover that at 21, he was probably on some kind of journey of something.
Yeah.
We forgot to ask that. I'll text him and ask him.
Yeah, text him.
What a top man. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed chatting
Lovely
about
guy.
3 years of Eddie Howe as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a guy. And we've caught up a little bit, a brief overview on the games.
But it's looking good. It's looking good, you know. It's very positive for us. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Absolutely. You've been listening to or watching Adopted Geordies with Mr. Asim Chowdhury and myself, Andy J, brought to you by BetMGM. Thank you for your company today. We will be back very soon.
The Adopted Geordies. The Adopted Geordies. We got Andy J, we got the Baldy. Together we are the Adopted Geordies. Not from the tomb, but we certainly bleed black and white. In the war studios, flying every war flag in sight. Got Andy J, and we got the Baldy. Together we are the Adopted Geordies.